Squid Game is a groundbreaking Netflix original Korean drama series released in 2021, created by Hwang Dong-hyuk. The series masterfully blends battle royale genre, psychological thriller, suspense, and social commentary, making it a global syndrome. The story revolves around 456 financially desperate contestants who agreed to participate in a mysterious survival game with deadly stakes. Competing in traditional children's games for a massive cash prize, as the game's progress, the dark realities of human greed, desperation, and morality come to forefront. The series critiques capitalism, inequality, and human desperation with powerful symbolism woven into the games and set design. The contrast between childlike games, dissonance with music, information asymmetry, and brutal violence highlights the extreme people are driven to in a broken system. This exciting story is based on a traditional Korean game that anyone in Korea's MZ generation would have played at least once, and the use of innocent childhood games with deadly consequences highlights how capitalism corrupts even simple, pure elements of life. It exposes the loss of innocence and how economic systems twist basic human interactions into violent competitions. Ordinary people commit horrific acts under systemic pressures, echoing Hannah Arendt's theory that evil can be normalized in institutional settings. The masked guards and VIPs represent the banality of evil. They are ordinary people carrying out harm under a system that normalizes violence, causing abuse of power, information, asymmetry, and unfairness. This is exploration of whether violence and selfishness are intrinsic part of human nature or conditioned by societal structures. And Arendt argued that resisting dehumanization requires moral awareness and personal responsibility. In the Korean drama Squid Game, the concept of a zero-sum game is a central theme driving the plot and underlying the show's commentary on competition, survival, and socio-economic inequality. The zero-sum game refers to a situation where one participant's gain is directly equivalent to another's loss, with the total value of resources fixed. No waste or benefit is created, only redistributed. Each game within the series is structured so that a player can only win if others lose, resulting in their elimination, which means death. This makes the competition a literal zero-sum game, where survival comes at the direct expense of others. For example, in the red light green light game, those who fail to stop moving in time are eliminated, directly reducing the number of competitors while increasing the price for the survivors. The total prize pool grows as participants are eliminated, with each death increasing the monetary reward for the remaining players. This financial structure emphasizes zero-sum dynamics, as personal gain depends on the loss of others. The more competitors eliminated, the higher the price, reinforcing the idea that success comes only through the failure of others. In the marble games, players must compete in pairs, with one person having to take all the marbles from the other to survive. This means one player's survival is directly tied to their partner's death, showcasing an extreme zero-sum scenario. I think this has some similarities to the scenario in the 2011 film Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, where Sherlock Holmes confronts a massive conspiracy by Professor Moriarty to start a war and amass a fortune by selling off the massive amount of weapons he produced in his factory. Beyond the literal games, Squid Game serves as a metaphor for zero-sum competition in capitalist societies. The show's portrayals of debt-ridden individuals forced into a deadly competition highlights how real-world systems often pit people against each other for limited resources, where wealth and opportunities are unequally distributed. Participants of the Squid Game are depicted nakedly as having to make important decisions in life or death situations. The protagonist must organize strategies at every moment to survive, and the participants playing the Squid Game can be seen as a microcosm of our lives. The Squid Game raises profound questions about determinism, like whether the actions of the participants up to that point, the illusion of choice inside and outside the game, and the systematic inequality pushed the participants into an inevitable endless competition of a zero-sum game, or they had the freedom to avoid it. Gi-hoon's choice to end the game ultimately demonstrates the triumph of free will asserting autonomy over the situation. The games present a fair sense of equality where all participants start with the same opportunity. However, pre-existing social conditions like physical strength and alliances create unequal advantages, mirroring how capitalism often disguises structural inequality as personal failure. The game seemed fair at first, with the participants all given a chance to win the prize money. However, the structure of the game itself exposes the inherent inequalities in society. Players who enter the games are from the working class and have different backgrounds. The competition is not a true measure of merit, but rather a desperate struggle where the wealthy and powerful, represented by the game's organizers, ultimately control the outcome. This reflects how society systems like the economy and education are rigged in favor of the wealthy. Characters like Sang-woo, an educated man with a background in business, have advantages over others because of social capital and privilege. His betrayal of his childhood friends shows the cutthroat nature of capitalism, where people will sacrifice personal bonds for survival and advancement. This highlights the illusion of meritocracy, the belief that success is earned through individual effort, when in reality individuals are often born into systems of privilege or disadvantage that shape their opportunities. Contestants are reduced to mere numbers and their lives treated as disposable commodities for entertainment. This critique aligns with how capitalist societies often prioritize profit over human dignity and well-being. The games play on the most vulnerable, turning financial hardship into entertainment for the wealthy elite. This parallels how marginalized groups in capitalist societies are often exploited for labor, profit, and even spectacle in media. Both use trapped spaces such as the bunker in Parasite and the game arena in order to symbolize how the poor remain invisible yet essential to wealth generation. Solidarity between marginalized groups is shown but often manipulated by the elite. Parasite deals with class disparity in a more domestic setting, but it offers a striking parallel to Squid Game by showcasing the hidden reality of poverty. The Kim family living in a semi-basement represents the working poor, while the Park family symbolizes the elite. Both families' fates are shaped by their economic class, with the Parks oblivious to the struggle of those beneath them. Like Squid Game, Parasite critiques the notion of equal opportunity, showing how the system is rigged in favor of the wealthy, and how the poor must compromise their dignity to survive. Both Squid Game and Parasite reveal that economic inequality is not just a matter of personal failure, but is embedded in the system itself. The poor are forced to compete and sacrifice for a chance at survival, while the wealthy continue to profit at their expense. This demonstrates the rigidity of social mobility in modern capitalist societies, where it is often nearly impossible to escape poverty without significant external help or systemic change. The illusion of fairness within the games mirrors how capitalism promises equal opportunity while being structurally unequal. The games claim fairness, but systemic barriers like Sang-woo's education versus Gi-hun's lack of it reveal the imbalance of opportunities. People become tools for profit and entertainment, losing their humanity in the process. Contestants are reduced to number, mirroring how capitalism often treats workers as a replaceable unit. The VIP's amusement at suffering reflects how the ultra-wealthy benefit from systemic oppression without consequences. Debt and economic hardship are weaponized to ensure compliance, reflecting how capitalism exploits economic vulnerability. I have also lived diligently without giving up on learning until now, but the problem with Korean education that I felt was that public education did not fulfill its function, and I remember harsh corporal punishment and tests that were designed to drop out students. Particularly, private education has been fallen down to a means of making money and is eager to instill short-sighted thinking rather than exploring the essence of the problem. They only plant messages to beat the person next to you, and I think it encourages endless competition like Squid Game. However, the education of Finland that I know take a different approach from ours. Since the starting point of family circumstances and parents' financial power are different, there is no fair competition. The opponent of competition is not a friend, but yesterday's me. It is not about stepping on someone to rise, but growing together. Competition is a practical educational method, but not all children who enter school stand on the same starting line. So there can be no fair competition. Korean education says that in order to foster more talent, we need to strengthen competition among students. However, in Finland, after the abolition of the comprehensive class system in 1985, competition in the classroom no longer exists, and cooperation is a way to survive. In order to promote cooperation in the classroom, ranks disappear from report card. And even if you're not good today, we may be good tomorrow. And even though you're not good at math, you may be good at language. How can it make differences to help either individual students or society as a whole to rank students based on a few tests? Cooperation, not competition, is a more practical way to survive. If children who only learn competition and not cooperation at school take responsibility for the future of society. Can that society really be competitive? Finland, a country where competition in schools is prohibited, starting from the different home environment and parental abilities. There are report cards, but instead of rankings, transcripts that show how much of the goals set for each individual have been achieved. The competition is not with friends, but with myself. With the world's lowest gap in student achievement and consecutive first place in the OECD program for international student assessment, Finland is more interested in students who are not doing well than those who are excelling. They convince the public that competition breeds competition, and eventually even kindergartners will be caught up in the whirlpool of competition. School is a process of developing the culture to become a good citizen. Squid Game critiques capitalism's of exploitative cycle, but it also subtly hints at philosophical solutions and the possibility of breaking free from systemic oppression. The series emphasizes how capitalism fosters individualism and betrayal for personal survival. Gi-hoon's emphasis, especially with characters like Sebyok, Ali, and Jongbae, suggests that solidarity and cooperation could challenge the system. Real-world parallel labor unions and mutual aid networks exemplify collective action against exploitation. The characters in Squid Game who work together like Gi-hoon, Junho, Jongbae, Sebyok, and Ali show that collective action is a way to fight back against systemic inequality. However, the game structure keeps them in constant competition, highlighting the capitalist divide that discourages solidarity. This critique parallel real-world efforts for worker solidarity and class-conscious movements that seek to unite the exploited against systems of power and privilege. Squid Game exposes how fair competition is a myth, as structural advantages like education and physical strength give some players unfair edges. A just society would address these imbalances instead of glorifying competition as a moral test. One way to address inequality is through progressive taxation and wealth redistribution, ensuring that the wealthy pay their fair share to fund social programs and reduce economic disparity. The show hints at the ethical failures of the wealthy elite who refuse to share their resources while the poor struggle to survive. Economic redistribution would aim to break this cycle of exploitation. The themes of economic inequality and class struggle in Squid Game confront viewers with the brutal realities of the modern capitalist system. It shows how the working class is exploited, disposed of, and trapped in a vicious cycle of debt, compromise, and suffering. The show critiques the illusions of meritocracy and asks whether human dignity can survive in a system that dehumanizes individuals for profit. The blend of children's games with deadly consequences offers a fresh, innovative take on the survival genre. The drama effectively critiques wealth inequality, capitalism, and human desperation, making it thought-provoking and relevant. The colorful yet unsettling sets like the pastel staircases and oversized playground create a visually memorable atmosphere. The series explores personal struggles and moral dilemmas, adding layers of depth beyond the survival plot. Global Impact became a worldwide cultural phenomenon, breaking viewership records and sparking conversations on social issues. Intense gore and brutality might be too disturbing for some viewers. Some supporting characters feel underdeveloped compared to the main cast. Some plot twists, especially toward the end, can feel somewhat predictable or cliché. The show leaves some plot points unresolved, which may frustrate viewers seeking complete closure. Some viewers found the ending divisive or unsatisfying compared to the build-up. In Season 1 of Squid Game, there is a book called Theory of Desire, and even if greed certainly plays a big role in this Squid Game, there is an even bigger cause lurking. Here is an excerpt from Michael Sandel's book titled What Money Can Buy. We live in an age where almost anything can be bought and sold. Over the past 30 years or so, markets and market values have come to dominate modern life like never before. This is not something we have thought about or chosen. It seems to have come about almost automatically. Therefore, now it's time to ask ourselves whether this is the way we want to live. Why should we be concerned that we are heading toward a society where everything can be bought and sold? There are two reasons: inequality and corruption. First, consider inequality. In a world where everything can be bought and sold, money is the root of all discrimination. The second reason is not about inequality and fairness, but about corrupt nature of markets. Putting a price on a good thing in life can corrupt them. The right to put carbon into the atmosphere, to get your kid into elite college after making huge donations, to be subject of test for pharmaceutical safety experiments, to be hired by private military companies, to fight in Somalia or Afghanistan, to buy life insurance policies on sick or elderly people, pay premiums while they live, and collect the death benefit when they die. This form of making money off the lives of strangers is becoming a 30 billion industry. The earlier the insured dies and the less eggs you put in on each basket, the higher chances of making profit you can have. Think about the proliferation for-profit schools, hospitals, and prisons, the growing outsourcing of political conflict to private military companies, the marketing of custom-made eggs and sperm for artificial insemination, the outsourcing of pregnancies to surrogate mothers in developing countries, the trading of emission permits led by corporations and the state, and campaign finance laws that effectively allow voting rights to be traded. If someone is willing to pay for sex or liver transplant and consenting adults are willing to sell, the only question an economist can ask is how much. The market won't pass judgment. It doesn't distinguish between good and bad choices. The parties involved in the transaction simply decide for themselves what value to place on the object of exchange. Some amusement parks offer escort services to get out of the way for VIP customers who are cutting in line. The reason amusement parks are so careful is because buying the right to cut in line, even in amusement parks, goes against the inconvenient truth that fairness means waiting in line. The problem with the black market for medical appointments is that the exclusive treatment for the few ends up pushing other patients who can't afford it into the crowded offices of general practitioners. The buying and selling of the right to cut in line isn't the most egregious example of this trend. When we think of corruption, we often think of ill-gotten gains, but corruption is much more than bribery or illegal dealing. The lobbying that plagues Congress, the illegal influence peddling by politicians, and self-dealing are also examples of corruption. National parks such as Yosemite National Park are the place filled with natural wonder and beauty, and its true value is to be admired and even revered. Therefore, the actions of ticket scalpers who auction off the right to enter these places are a form of sacrilege. Treating religious rituals or natural wonders as commodities to be bought and sold, such as selling tickets of paper myths, is not an attitude of reverence toward them. Turning sacred goods into a means of profit misjudge their value. When someone buys us clothes or records, it is very unlikely that they will choose them as well as we would if we had chosen them ourselves. No matter how well-intentioned they are, we can predict that what they buy will not suit our taste. If the amount they spend is compared to that of satisfaction they could have given us in the first place, their choice has diminished value. Economists do not like gifts. From a market logic perspective, it is better to give cash than a gift. However, if you give money instead of a gift, the meaning of the gift diminishes. It is similar to how you cannot buy a friend with money. When you commodify the social practice of maintaining friendship, market values take the place of social norms such as empathy, tolerance, and consideration. A man who is thinking about what to give his girlfriend a gift has intimate information that his girlfriend is wondering, does this person really like me? Choosing a good gift for such a girlfriend is a signal that the man shows his love. Since it takes time and effort to find the gift, choosing an appropriate gift is a way for a man to convey intimate information that he loves his girlfriend. Of course, not all gifts can express the giver's feelings in this way. If you are attending a distant relative's wedding or a co-worker's child coming of age ceremony, it is better to buy something from the wedding gift list or give cash. But giving money to a friend, lover, or spouse instead of a carefully chosen gift shows thoughtlessness and indifference. It is like paying money to abdicate responsibility that should be carefully carried out. Also, neither gift cards nor cash convey the thoughtfulness and care expressed in traditional gift exchanges. The decline of altruism in one area of human activity is likely to trigger similar shifts in attitudes, motivations, and relationships in other areas. Altruism, tolerance, and solidarity, and civic spirit are not commodities that deplete with use. Rather, they are more like muscles that grow stronger and develop with exercise. One of the flaws of a market-oriented society is that it allows these virtues to languish. If we are to restore our public life, we must exercise them more diligently. Or you want to live in a society where everything can be bought and sold, or there are moral and civic goods that are not traded in the market and cannot be bought with money.